Well, good morning, everyone. This is a great day, and it's a sad day. It's a great day that Congressman Ed Royce is here to talk to us. He has served 26 years as our congressman in California, and to say he was a credit union champion would be an understatement. He was a champion for credit unions in the California State House first. I'm excited that he gets to retire, but I'm really sad that he won't be on this stage next year. I'd like to introduce Jim Nussle, if you don't know him, to say a few words. We have a resolution for Congressman Royce.
Well, first of all, I'd like to add my thanks to Congressman Royce, Mr. Chairman, and my friend Ed. Thank you for your great service. It was fun to serve with you, and it's fun to have you out here today. The CUNA board met and passed a resolution honoring Representative Ed Royce, and in the resolved paragraph, allow me, if you don't mind, just to read this. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Credit Union National Association does hereby recognize and thank Representative Royce for his many years of service to his state, country, and to the credit union movement. When its 110 million members across the United States needed his support the most for their own access to credit unions and the continued health of the nation's not-for-profit, member-owned cooperative financial institutions, Congressman Ed Royce was there.
Jim,
Congressman?
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ed. Thank you.
Do you want me to take that off for you?
We can take it out. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any Californians here? All right, over 300 people from California. So I want to thank Diana and I want to thank Jim for that, because credit unions have been something that I've been focused on for a very long time. Tanzlee asked that question, can you remember your first experience with a credit union? I certainly can. I can remember my first loan, my first bank account, and all the work that I did, both professionally and business, with credit unions, and later in the state Senate when I served in California on the banking committee. And what I can share with you tonight, or this morning, is that in my humble opinion, there is a reason why, as I've said to you before, people like their banks, but they love their credit unions. They love their credit unions, and it is because of what you do for them. And in California, we had that unique situation where, under our tax code, there was a very bad idea that was imposed, and that was taxes on credit unions in California. I carried the legislation at the time to remove that taxation. And over the years since I came to the House, and that was 26 years ago that I came here, we've been involved in the struggles here. The first bad idea I remember was to try to tax federally credit unions. And I helped you lead that battle here too. And then we put that to bed. We had that struggle twice, but we solved that problem. And then there was that field of membership battle, which I helped lead and in which you were ultimately successful on. And then another bad idea, whose time apparently had come, and that was the concept of applying CRA to credit unions. That makes no sense given the very goal of credit unions in the local community, but we had to fight that fight. And again, despite the odds, we were successful. We were successful because of you, because of the members out there. And I thought I would share with you something that was written in 1984 by then President Ronald Reagan about credit unions, because it sums up the values of credit unions. It's one of the reasons why I have tried to focus my colleagues' attention on this issue in a bipartisan way. But let me tell you what he wrote, what he said. Credit unions are uniquely democratic economic organizations, founded on the principle that persons of good character and modest means, joining together in cooperative spirit and action, can promote thrift, can create a source of credit for productive purposes, and build a better standard of living for themselves. Now, these words have never rang more true. And that is why I think you have over 100 million Americans in credit unions here. But the thing I want to add to that, and this is why I continue to fight fiercely on your behalf, is because as chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee, which is my other responsibility besides financial services, I have the opportunity to watch credit unions growing across sub-Saharan Africa, across South Asia, across East Asia, in Latin America. I see the construct of what you have put together here, applying and empowering people all over this planet. So now more than ever, we need to fight to maintain the safeguards that allow credit unions to support your members. Credit unions have always been by the members, for the members. The work you all do on a daily basis is the reason why the American dream is still alive and well, and I want you to think about this, still alive and well for a lot of people out there in communities that otherwise would not be able to get that particular loan that you provide. Or otherwise, for small businesses, startups, entrepreneurs, they're too small for other people to service. But because of your commitment to service and because of what you do locally, you're there to help them. You provide opportunity to those entrepreneurs who then employ others. And without your continued support, they would struggle to acquire a loan at a reasonable rate, or I think you know, would struggle in many cases to acquire a loan at all. So as you know, I've introduced another measure this year, H.R. 389, the Credit Union Residential Loan Parity Act. And this bill removes loans made for the purpose of non-owner-occupied 1 to 4 unit dwellings from the calculation of the member business lending cap. That cap's imposed, as you know, unjustly. We want parity here. We want parity. And if enacted, the Credit Union Residential Loan Parity Act would allow credit unions to lend an additional it's $11 billion, an additional $11 billion to small businesses. Think what that'll mean in the economy. Think what that means in terms of economic growth, right? And that's not another government program that has to be paid for, that we don't have money to pay for. That's something that you can do to help this economy grow. Now, the opponents of your work do seem to be fixated, and I can say this having been in many, many debates over the years, fixated on the faulty premise that the American economy is a zero-sum game, that small business lending is a zero-sum game, and you know that this is not true, because I've shared with you the studies before. We've done it over and over. The small business community have done these studies. 8 of $10 loaned by a credit union are new dollars. That's what we've got to drive home to senators and to House members. If you go to any chamber of commerce, if you go to Rotary, you watch those conversations. I see the conversations between credit union members and bankers. The credit union officer and the banker are talking shop. They're referring business to each other. Only in Washington do we find the vitriol. I guess that's not unusual in Washington. But I want you to remember what things are like back home, where people are cooperating. I guess that's the reason why I think things should be done in a bipartisan way in this city. And that's the way I run my Foreign Affairs Committee, and that's the way I try to approach other members. Because we can get a lot more done with the kind of approach that you see back home, where people are cooperating, rather than coming back here in Washington and trying to attack the other business model, right? So let's focus instead on how credit unions can help grow the pie for everybody involved. And at the end of the day, your story is about providing opportunity, not raising taxes. Your story is about empowering people. That's what I think you can convey here. And the last thing I want to say, I'm going to stay involved in pushing this cause because I believe in it. But I also know that your passion for the credit union cause is why you've been able to protect credit unions to date. And I thank you for making the trek all the way back here. Over 300 people from California, I know, are here to march up on the Hill and to make these arguments. And I appreciate also your support for my legislation. But as you say, it is about values, right? As Reagan said, it's about values. Being there for your members. As you say, not for profit, not for charity, but for service. Thank you again for your service. Appreciate it very much.